Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Yeonni, and today I'm first of all, I apologize for my voice. It's the first time that I'm talking this morning, so my voice is a little bit raspy, so please bear with me. But anyway, today I wanted to come to YouTube with a 2019 recap video. I've been seeing a lot of these, whether it's like my best purchases of 2019, my best whatever of 2019, worst whatever of 2019, and I wanted to put my own spin onto it, and I wanted to talk about my biggest challenges that I faced in 2019 and how I've been able to sit down and flip them into learning opportunities. So this thing that I really do on an everyday basis to help me to pretty much cope with life, deal with the stressors of life, and a lot of it is based on therapeutic techniques such as cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness that is widely used in therapeutic settings to help clients who may be struggling with symptoms of anxiety disorder, of depression, or things like that. But even for people who may not have a formal diagnosis, these techniques can really help us to live a fulfilling life, a life that we can't say a life that is free of stressors, right? Like we can just step out the door and be faced with a stressor right away. That's just how life is. But at the end of the day, even if we can't control the surroundings around us, we can control our response to those surroundings. It's like exercising a muscle, and it's something that I've been doing for the past few years of my life that have helped me immensely with my own symptoms of anxiety. Now that that spiel is done, let's get into this video of flipping my 2019 challenges into learning opportunities and victories, how at the end of the day, I am really grateful to have experienced all of these things this past year. Our director telling us super last minute that she was bye-bye leaving. So some background information. Right after graduating from grad school, I got married, I went on my honeymoon. However, I had a job lined up in a way, but then something happened with HR where they lost my application essentially, and they lost record that I had interviewed and gotten an offer for this job, which blows my mind that those things can happen. But like I said, life throws things at us like that. It was kind of like a brick to the face, but it happened. So I actually started my first job out of grad school around October in 2018, and so it was a difficult time. However, you'll notice how I keep using this exercise through all of my stressors in life, but I flipped it around. At least I finally had a job, right? I can start paying off bills, I can start contributing and saving and all of these financial goals that I have for myself after graduating from school. So October 2018, I started, and I'm working and I'm working, I'm learning, it's challenging and I'm working. However, April came around, so it's only been how many months now? Like about 6 months of working at this job where I'm starting to get a bit of a flow. However, I'm still very much learning how to be a full-time social worker and therapist. And our director tells us out of the blue that she had accepted another job. And this was really difficult for my agency because we were already short-staffed, and our director was really amazing while she was there in a way where that she was involved in every aspect of how the program ran. So everything went through her. She was part of the intake, of the discharge. Every client obviously knew her, and she was a part of everything. So she was kind of like the foundation of this program. She had been there for 8+ years, and in the setting of social work, it's really uncommon to see people stay long term. You know, high turnover rates are pretty normal in this field, maybe because of burnout, because of not getting enough benefits or pay to, you know, survive in a city like New York City or even a city like this in San Francisco. But she had been there for 8+ years. So yeah, you could say I was feeling pretty overwhelmed because this director was the one that was directly training me on how to do everything. Where she was there, I felt like she was kind of micromanaging, but I actually appreciated that because I'm the type of person where I want to know all of the things I have to do, the rules, how to do it, when to do it, what should it look like, and I will make sure that it is done that way. So my blueprint of this job was essentially leaving in really short notice too. So you could say I was overwhelmed. Because we had no director from April, for like the 3 months, I guess, it was crazy, first of all. It was chaos. Like there was some tension between the clients, tension between the staff, tension between staff and clients. The program kind of felt like it could fall apart at the seam at any time. However, it was amazing because our clinical team, whoever was left, came together. Like, our interns were absolutely amazing. They were doing work of a full-time staff member, and they weren't even doing it with like a negative attitude. They really stepped up. And one of our clinicians, she stepped up to be like the part-time temporary director, and she was amazing, doing all these leadership and admin stuff while also handling her own like therapy clients. We stepped up, and in that moment I also stepped up, and I was able to break out of the, oh, just tell me what to do and then I can do it. No, I learned how to be independent. I learned how to ask questions to anyone who will give me an answer, how to look things up. I learned how to figure out resources and function, and I got confident in a way. It really built my confidence as a clinician, where yes, I may have been just out of school and been working this job for only 6 months, but I had 2 years of grad school, 2 full years of internships that I knew I did successfully because I got that degree, right? And I started to believe in my intuition as a clinician and as an individual in society doing my job, and that is a lesson that has helped me even this time around in 2019 when I was looking for a new job, when I got my new job, and when I was adjusting to this role. I was able to come into this new job with so much confidence. The number 2 challenge that I faced this year was that my mom moved back to South Korea. So it's kind of a long story to get into in just this video. However, I'm originally born in Korea. I moved here when I was 6 with my nuclear family, mom, dad, and my younger brother. And some things happened in college where they decided to move back to Korea, and I obviously stayed here because I was getting my education here, and I wanted to stay in the States to pursue my education and just live here, essentially. This felt like home to me, not Korea. And when I was getting ready to be married and going through this process, my mom moved back actually for around like a year and a half to spend time with me and just be there for me to help me prep for the wedding. And it really, really meant so much. And this May, actually, she moved back permanently to Korea. And it was such a weird feeling. I think it hit me much harder than I thought it would, because I think this time it was different from the past when she would visit and go, or in the past where I was just a student but I would go back home to visit my family every summer. Because now that I was married, I think that was the shift after thinking about it a little bit. My home was technically with my partner now. We were making our own home. Like him, my partner, me, and our 2 cats. This was a new family that we had created by getting married. And it was such a weird feeling that when I went to Korea now to visit my parents, of course it's still home, they're still my family. I can't explain it though, maybe unless you've experienced a similar thing, but it just didn't feel the same. So when my mom left, I felt like kind of like, oh my God, this is real, this marriage thing is real. This partner, this guy I didn't know like 5-6 years ago, because we had been together for about 5-6 years at that point, like dating and all that stuff. He was now my family, and I was going to rely on him and depend on him, and vice versa. So that was weird. It was really hard for me. I felt really lonely at that time. However, flipping it around after she left in May, and I like sat and processed and was really, really sad and super, super needy and clingy to my partner, admittedly, I've come to, of course, I've always appreciated my mother and the relationship that we have, but I've come to even more appreciate her and how blessed I am to have a mother, to have a family. Even if they're all the way on the opposite side of the freaking globe. 14-hour flights, my friends. So far. Now that I'm in California, it's like 10 to 11, but still pretty far. I feel so grateful. I'm like tearing up. I'm not gonna cry. We're not gonna cry here. I feel so grateful to have family and my parents, even if they're far away, even if I can only visit them maybe once every 2 years now. It's really expensive to go there. But it motivates me to work hard, to save, to be financially responsible so I can visit them more often, because family, at the end of the day, family is what matters. And I feel grateful for my mother and the time that she spent with me here. I feel grateful for my dad, for my younger brother, and I feel grateful for my partner that we're engaging in this new family, which is still very weird. It's a weird, like, amorphous feeling that I'm feeling about that. It's so cool, but so weird. I'm sure I'll get used to it soon. But the third main challenge I faced this year was that my partner lost his job. It's not as clear cut as, he had a job, he lost a job. He was kind of on a contract based thing with this company, and they kind of kept, leading him on, being like, we'll make you full-time staff, not this contractor. Because usually contractors and consultants, their contracts are shorter and it's hourly, and they kind of hire you based on need of the company. So he kept being promised, hey, like, just stay on a little longer, just renew your contract one more time, we'll make you full-time staff. And we really believed in that, especially because he believed in this organization and what they did. However, in 2019, for the second time, his contract was discontinued. Like, it ran its time, like it was over, and they promised to renew it and that there would be overlap, that way he would have a job. They just never got back. And we were at a point now where we were like, we can't keep relying on this company, because what if I lose my job? Which, if you already know, I did end up losing my job. It was really hard, and he had a really, really tough time being unemployed and looking for jobs and applying and interviewing everywhere. I had a really tough time being the sole provider, because just the financial responsibility of that, and being so scared that if I lose my job, like, yes, we had some savings, but we were both just out of grad school with a lot of debt and, real life adult stuff that we didn't really think about before. And yes, we have loving parents who could support us financially just for a little bit while we get back on our feet, but we didn't want that to happen. We wanted to do as much as we could in our power to be sustainable and live our lives so our parents don't worry about us, essentially. Things turned out in a way where he did find a job, and we ended up moving here all the way to the West Coast in California. But that was really hard for me, because thankfully for my partner, when he found a new job, he had like renewed self-esteem, like, you can do this, you're in freaking Silicon Valley tech, you do you. So I was really happy for him, but I think I personally really struggled with the switch, because many layers of the struggle, which is too much for me to put into just this one video, but it's kind of like starting over, Like, all of the memories that I've had in the States after moving here when I was 6 was in the East Coast, whether it's upstate New York or New Jersey or Manhattan, Brooklyn. Those were where I was comfortable, Boston, like Rhode Island, like, Pennsylvania. I don't really know what that was. That's what I was comfortable with. And West Coast, I had visited once or twice, but it was a whole new frontier, really. And I really struggled so emotionally in that sense. Will I make friends? And will it even feel like home? What does home even feel like for me? But also, obviously, professionally, I did mention in my I got fired and I'm moving across the country video that I would have to restart my licensing process, get a new license. Hopefully my clinical hours that I built up in New York would transfer, but we'll see. It was a lot. It was really difficult trying to start over, and this new identity I had as someone's partner and spouse and wife, and me wanting to support him, and that meant making compromises and sacrifices. And also at that time, my job was also not stable, which I mentioned. So just didn't make any sense to stay in New York at the time. And I knew logically that this was the right choice for my partner to find a more stable job. My timeline for my job was running out faster than they had initially said to me. And we are closer to his parents on the West Coast, so it just made sense. It was tough. However, those 4 months that I spent unemployed, while extremely tough, let me tell you, a lot of like imposter syndrome, like identity crisis, like early midlife crisis, like what am I doing with my life? Now that I look back on it, I'm so thankful for those 4 months that I was able to really get comfortable to this place, my home, and really decorate it and spend time at home and spend time with the cats so they can, adjust to new life here in the West Coast. Spend time really thinking about what I wanted for me in my relationship, in my career. I had the gift of time during unemployment. It was not fun employment, let me tell you. I think it's just my personality. I had to really step out of my comfort zone, which was planning, plan my 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 year, 10-year goals. And I was able to have the gift of time to breathe. And yeah, of course I planned what I wanted, but it was more like because I wanted to, not because I felt like I had to. And I feel very grateful for that somewhat smooth transition I was able to have into this new life on the West Coast. And now that I'm sitting here with an amazing new job, in a beautiful home like this, in sunny California, I am grateful that all of that happened. What, my partner losing his job, me losing my job, us moving all the way to the West Coast, having to start all over. However, I learned a lot, and I'm really grateful for that time. A last note on that one, I think it also helped my partner and I to really learn to rely on each other and understand what that even meant. You know, we were making sacrifices for one another, and I think this move really tested our marriage, and it really tested our relationship and helped us to learn what marriage is all about, and the fact that we were both on the same page. You know, because especially in today's day and age, marriage looks and feels and is very different for everyone. But I felt very grateful that through this test and coming out of it even stronger, we learned that we were on the same page, and I felt very grateful to have met this person that values me and our relationship as much as I value him in this relationship. And last but not least, a really difficult challenge I had this year was also involved with moving here, but was about friendships. So I made this super emotional crying video a few years ago about how I felt about friendships and my own experience, and I've just always had a really difficult time making friends growing up, and too much to delve into in this video, as I keep saying, just watch that video. This was another challenge. When I got married, I was really able to sit down and think about who are my true friends that I want to stand next to me when I say my vows on the most important day of my life and all that stuff. And I was able to come across 4 girlfriends who were there for me through thick and thin in college and even through grad school, and people who really put in an effort, because I feel like a lot of the times, at least in my perspective, you know, there's like my side, the other side, and the truth, right? But at least from my side, I always felt like I put in so much effort into friendships at a certain point. Like, I wasn't like that all the time, let me tell you. When I was younger, I would never be the first to approach people, and I waited for people to reach out to me, and I learned from that no, if I really find someone that I really like and I want to be friends with them, I want to put in effort. So obviously, you know, it's a growing thing, and I grew in that sense. But then it also became too much of that, where I was reaching out to people all the time, trying to be there for them, like, you know, like taking the train from New York to Jersey like every weekend, and like paying for their food and coffee and all these things all the time, not because I expected anything in return, but because I wanted to, you know, because that was my way of showing love. But then at a certain time, I would just kind of evaluate and be like, this person will never be there for me when I need them, you know? So, clearly it's very complicated, friendships, and especially after being an adult, it's really hard making friends because you're not in school anymore. So it's like, how do you make friends, you know? So after moving here, I had a really difficult time making friends, and I did make some friends, but being an adult that is married, and when most of your friends are single or not looking into a long-term committed relationship, I realized sometimes friendships can also look different, where I was kind of put in positions where I had to be like an ambassador of what it means to be a married person and what things are okay and not okay. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned in that sense, but I think I've had experiences where people didn't understand that I couldn't stay out long because I had someone waiting for me at home. And it was just hard to explain those things to friends, and certain friends didn't understand that. And I also didn't understand that that was the issue. So my partner and I, we fought a lot. We were trying to figure out, like, how do we approach friendships as a married couple? And do we need to teach our friends what it means? But like, that's also weird. Like, why should we have to do that? And like, they probably don't want to be lectured by us either, you know? Friendships are tough, but at the end of the day, whether I'm a child, whether I'm single and ready to mingle, whether I'm married, whether I'm an old lady, I learned that I should never, ever, ever compromise my own values in what I feel like I need in a friendship, and and how I feel like I should be treated in a healthy friendship, no matter what. This also helped me to really appreciate friends who respect me for my choices in life and who are willing to spend time with me and love on me despite different lifestyles. This is gonna be an extremely long video. I have to make sure I edit this well. So those were 4 of the many challenges that I faced this year, but the 4 major ones that I could think of that really shaped me right now, December, what's the date today? 28th, 2019, really looking back on this year, the challenges that I'm really able to say I've turned into victories and have really taught me valuable lessons that will make 2020 an even cooler and more edifying year for me. And now that we're at the end of the video, I want to ask you, how was your 2019? What were the biggest challenges that you faced this year? And don't stop there, because we always want to exercise that muscle, right? Exercise the muscle of turning it into, is there anything that you learned from those challenges? And what are they? Because trust me, we're going to come across challenges. We're going to be stressed out of our minds with life, because that's how life is. But like I said in the beginning of the video, it's all about how we respond to those stressors, because we gotta keep going. We gotta keep moving forward. Despite life throwing all these things at us, I choose to keep moving forward. I choose to keep smiling and living life and appreciating the little joys in the daily, like spending time with my cats when I'm outside and the sun's shining. It's been pretty foggy in San Francisco for the past few weeks, so I want to appreciate that. And I want to enjoy life to the fullest. And that doesn't mean there's gonna be no difficulties. No, not at all. It means I'm going to work on how to deal with those difficulties to the best way so I can turn them positive and just keep moving forward. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That does really help me a lot. And I make mental health, social justice advice videos. Sometimes I make little vlogs here and there. I just kind of do whatever I want to do on this channel. It's been so much fun. So check out my channel if you are curious on what kind of content I do make. And if you do like what you see, please make sure to subscribe. That would be awesome. I hope you have a wonderful, the last few days of 2019. Woo! 2020 feels like, I don't know what it feels like because it's not here yet, but it's a lot of feelings. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day and the rest of your 2019, however you decide to spend it. And I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be in the next year. Bye!